Let me
All
start by
right.
welcoming everybody into the Hear Me, See Me podcast. Doing something a little bit different today because we are having a little remote session with AJ Wilkerson. He is a comedian and he is someone who's traveling the country, has a stop in Topeka scheduled here. And so, why not welcome in on and talk a little bit more? Because your comedy, AJ, goes right into the heart of this Hear Me, See Me project that we have. It is a mental health awareness initiative of WIBW TV, really shining a spotlight on mental health and mental wellness. And just from a real basic point, I feel like laughter is a big part of it. How much does laughter flow into your life?
I mean, laughter is a big part of it. If you, I, I'm autistic, I'm ADHD, I have social anxiety, and if I can't laugh about it, then who can?
How do you incorporate that into your acts?
I don't incorporate it so much as it's who I it's just like every other part of my life. Like it's there, and I have to deal with it. So does everyone else. It's just kind of part of who I am. So it's just there. It's with me when I'm on stage.
Has it always been easy to laugh at yourself, or what was it like for you growing up? And if we kind of go back to the beginning here, when did you get a diagnosis or realize there was something a little bit different going on in your mind?
I mean, I've kind of known the like my whole life. I started uh speaking late but reading early. And then I inherited a set of Hooked on Phonics tapes, and then you couldn't get me to shut up. I don't know, I've always been like the strange kid, and I always had that thing in my mind where like I knew because I didn't fit in, I tried harder to fit in, and then once I got diagnosed in my 30s, I learned there's a term for that, and it's called masking. Um, and yeah, just as I started like learning more about my brain and how it worked, I started like talking about it. Um, and I kind of had this thing my whole life. Like anytime I'd get on a roll about something, my family would kind of all gather up in the living room, and turns out that's what stand up is. It's just gathering people together and doing the same thing. It's just slightly more structured.
It truly did start with living room shows. Newscasters joke about that, saying that, "Oh, I knew from a young age because I was giving news broadcasts from my living room in front of my family." I wasn't like that, but it kind of sounds a little bit similar for comedy. Did it just kind of happen naturally for you?
Um, Not really. It's something I wanted to do like earlier in my life, and then after I got diagnosed and I started working with a therapist kind of like challenged me to go to an open mic kind of as like a homework assignment, like exposure therapy for social anxiety. And I had so much stuff going on in my brain. A therapist basically explained that like I had so much creative processes going on, so many open tabs like creatively, that it was putting pressure on my executive functioning skills. So it was basically like, hey, why don't you try just going and doing an open mic and getting some of this stuff just out of your head, and maybe that'll make room for some other stuff. And then I tried it and I was like, oh no, there's no room for any other stuff. This is what I do now.
Going back on your diagnosis, so there was autism,
Yes.
and then what other diagnoses do you have?
Autism, and then 2 years later, ADHD. Um, 6 years before that, I was diagnosed with severe anxiety disorder and major depressive disorder. And then I found out as like when I was getting going through like the autism diagnosis process, um, they're like, oh, so this is like related to social anxiety. And then I got diagnosed with autism, and they were like, yeah, it is social anxiety related, but you only have that level of social anxiety because you're autistic. And so you just kind of start learning how things go hand in hand together, and then you realize like all those different diagnoses are just like different angles of the same piece of paper, and when you fold it all up into like a piece of origami, it's autism.
And it's AJ. You are
And it's
uniquely
me.
you.
Yeah,
How old were you when
exactly.
you got those diagnoses?
I was in my 20s when they first started diagnosing me with like anxiety and depression, and I was 30 when I got my autism diagnosis.
And you're how old now?
I'm 36.
So that's awful late in life to learn this about yourself. Although you said you always knew, but how tough did that make growing up? Or was comedy a way that maybe you didn't realize all that other stuff? When you talk about though, it's starting with depressive, that kind of makes me think, was there something tough going on in your childhood? It can be.
Not really in my childhood. It wasn't until later in life. Like things that you don't realize, like when you learn once you learn how to like mask as like an autistic person, and once you learn how to like kind of make yourself a chameleon socially, you don't realize how much more energy you're expending than everyone else, because like you're not measuring those things yet. It's not until like later in life when you're like in adulthood and you're like, well, dang, I'm grinding it out and I'm putting it, but why am I so burnt out? Like why does it take me so much more to go and do like this versus like going and doing this? And like why is it like, I can go and hang out with some people and, not drink or do anything crazy, but then the next day I still feel hungover like I was drinking and partying all night. And it's like, oh, that's social anxiety. That's that extra level of like focus and energy it takes you to be around people. And then the not the cool thing, but something you learn about autism as you go through it is like autism is either the same or worse. Like it gets progressive as you go on because so many different things stack up mentally in your mind. Like I like to refer to it as like hard drive space. Like as an autistic person, once you get to a certain point and you're out of hard drive space, you have to start deleting things to make room for new things. And then you start realizing like, oh, I'm losing like skill sets. I'm losing and over time like that, it just gets harder and harder to do. So it gets more and more not noticeable, but noticeable to other people, but like to yourself, it just gets more and more um like just frustrating and hard to work around. Like it's when you like your office computer starts getting older and you're like, why does it take so long to open my emails now?
Exactly. And I'll tell you what, everybody has that bandwidth. I think that's an important lesson, whether you have an official diagnosis or not. We all have a bandwidth. And when it fills up, all this other stuff starts happening. You have a diagnosis and a reason why it might be an additional challenge for you. How freeing was that to learn that information that helped you to understand there's a reason your mind was working that way? I mean, do you have more energy now? Was it a way for you to finally let go of some things that maybe you were kind of hanging on to before?
Kind of. It's the best way I can explain it is like imagine spending your entire life in like a house that's, 30 rooms, and you've never seen it with the lights on. And you've just been in pitch darkness, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, now I can see where all the furniture is, so I know where I might stub my toe in any given situation. You've learned your ways to navigate around it, but there's like, oh, that spot in the dining room where you always stub your toe, there's a vase there.
Ah, now the lights are
I
on and I can
never even
see
knew there
it.
was a vase there. Yeah.
Well, I imagine too, then what does this teach all of us about the importance of asking questions and reaching out when we know something or have this feeling that something isn't quite right? And what finally spurred you to do that reaching out yourself? Was there like a moment in time, or was it simply you and everyone around you was noticing things and so you started asking questions?
I think I was already just like on kind of a mental health journey, like trying to deal with um the the what do you call it? I was dealing with the symptoms, but not the source, if that makes sense. I was seeking help and trying to figure out what was going on with the anxiety and depression, not realizing that like these other things were causing that part of it. Um, Now 6 years later I can say like when I'm staying on top of like my ADHD and my mental routines and things like that, I don't get as depressed as I used to. It's like realizing what you're trying to manage, because there's not really a way to manage depression. There's just like getting through it. And it's like, okay, yeah, but if you manage these other things, like if you manage your like your hyper focus and your burnout, and you take rest breaks, then you don't get to the point where you're depressed all the time.
Well, we've been very serious so far talking to a comedian. So we're going to get to the humor part of it, taking a quick little break here on the Hear Me, See Me podcast. We're back with AJ Wilkerson in just a second. We're back with AJ Wilkerson here on the Hear Me, See Me podcast from your home in Nashville, en route to wherever the parts may be that your schedule is going to take you, because you are a
Yes.
comedian.
Yes.
And it would seem a little odd, and you talk about this in your routine. You're living with autism. You also live with some depression, some ADHD, some social anxiety disorder, and you want us to laugh at you. That seems really
No, I want you to laugh with me.
with you. Therein is
Pretty
the difference.
important distinction.
Absolutely. So
Yeah, I am orchestrating the laughs. I am not. I'm not getting laughed at like I showed up at a surprise party. It's I'm in charge there. Um, and yeah, it's fun. I'm talking about my mental health. I have perspectives on things that other people don't have perspectives on. So it's you're getting a like jokes and an experience that you won't get with any other comedian.
our conversation looks pretty normal right now, but if we watch some of the videos of your routines, when you're in front of an audience, there is a physical manifestation. Describe
Yeah.
what happens and how you explain that to the audience.
Well, there's a physical manifestation now. You just can't see it because I'm in a tiny little window, but I'm bouncing both of my legs. I'm rocking my chair back and forth. I'm playing with a little fidget thing in my hands. I tend to stay in motion, like a shark. You know, if I stop swimming, I die. Um, but yeah, I because of the social anxiety, and I have a phobia of public speaking that I wasn't really aware of before I got diagnosed. Like I just thought it was like, oh yeah, everybody has a fear of public speaking. Like that's like a common knowledge, is like that's like the number one fear for everybody. And it's like, yeah, but everybody doesn't have to have like beta blockers and a muscle relaxer to give a 10-minute meeting speech, you know, a safety meeting at a home improvement store with 10 people that you've known for 3 years, you know. um but once I got diagnosed and I started working at it, and like I started going to open mics as like a form of exposure therapy, and then I realized like it's kind of like skydiving. Like you can be afraid the entire time and still be exhilarated, you know. And that's kind of how what I realized stand up was for me. Is, you know, it's like skydiving. It's, yeah, it's terrifying. It's like the scariest thing I've ever done, but it's also the most alive I've felt ever. So
How do you help people understand that, if as long as you're initiating it, because I think there is that sensitivity piece that we need to understand with people.
there's
You know, when
there's
you're
really
initiating.
not there's really not. It's that's what coming to the show is. I explain it because like that's my job, is like there's the reason why I'm successful, you know? It's if anybody I've never had anybody be like react negative. Maybe I've had like two or three, but nothing's ever uh no one's ever like gotten explosively angry at one of my shows. Like it's one of those things where it's like if you very early on in my show, if you're not picking up on it and you're not having a good time, you might be need to seek a diagnosis of your own.
What do you want people to experience from your show? Going through, really, it's kind of
Joy.
going through your
It's
joy.
really just joy and humor. Like that's I do it for the same reasons everybody else does it. It's I have a talent for making people uh lose their minds. You know, I have a talent for making people uh just forget what's going on in the world and just be present in a room with me having the time of their lives. And you can go online and go through all of my comments and see how much fun people are having.
Do you see yourself as an advocate for raising awareness of people who have differing minds, differing abilities, different ways that we work and express ourselves?
I think other people see me as an advocate more than I do, but I'm a comedian first.
And as a comedian first, what else besides, you know, laughing at you or laughing with you, right? Let's make that distinction. Laughing with you. What else besides that do you bring to your humor? Where else does the observation come from? Because it's not all about you. Even though we love you and we don't want to, you know, we don't diss you
Well,
at all. But
I'm not an observational comic. I'm uh I'm an absurdist and I'm a storyteller and uh I'm a I'm a unique experience.
you are you.
I am me and I'm one of the best comics in the world.
Of
As
course,
weird
everybody
as
has to have
that
a little
is to
confidence when they're
say.
getting on stage.
Yeah. Well, that's not self-confidence, that's peer reviewed. So
I love it. I love it. So, people who are coming to your show, you know, no matter where you are, the folks in Topeka put together a fun little kit. Have you and you maybe don't even know what they put in the kit. They gave us tissues because we'll laugh until we cry. There is an energy drink because cackling is cardio. Band-aids if we are knee slapping too much. Aspirin for side splitting chortles. And some breath mints for when we're gasping for air. Is this an accurate survival kit for an AJ Wilkerson comedy show?
no. Uh, what you're gonna need to survive my show is oxygen, health insurance, and an ambulance on standby. That's what you're gonna need. Not to toot my own horn, but I literally, I am so funny, I send people to the hospital. There is a woman in Fort Wayne who doesn't have an appendix anymore because I provided gut-busting entertainment. That's what I do. I am the whole ass Harlem Globetrotters of stand-up comedy. Just I play the game in a way that makes you think, how is this possible?
I do want to caution people that there is some language. So if people are sensitive to cussing, they might want to, you know, maybe not the show for you, but
Stay your ass at home. Sorry. I
it's a mild one. That's a mild one. But I do think, AJ, it is a pleasure to hear from you and to kind of gain your perspective. If you had any mental health advice for anybody out there who's struggling, because certainly a lot of people have anxiety disorders. I think a lot of people, when they hear you speak, are going to identify with you, maybe not to the extent of what you're living with. But for anybody else out there, what do you want them to know?
You know, I get a lot of messages, like comments and things in my inbox, emails of people who are like, "Hey, I saw one of your videos. I came to like one of your shows, and you know, I was struggling with XYZ, and it just helped." And I, even if it's not me, even if I'm not the comedian for you, go to a show. Go to a show, spend some time in a room full of people, even if people make you uncomfortable. Sometimes just sharing that experience with other people makes you feel less alone, and you're bonding with the other people and feeling less alone, sharing joy. And there's not a lot of things that can't help feel better. There's a reason why they say laughter is the best medicine.
Well, I am feeling the joy visiting with you, AJ. I appreciate you taking the time, kind of sharing your perspective and thoughts on things. Very important as we discuss not just comedy, because yes, I agree, laughter is fantastic medicine. And no matter where you are in life, please know we hear you, we see you.